Study Section 4, Learning Process in Industrial Training. Introduction. In this study session, we shall examine the relevance of the learning process during training. We will begin by describing what learning is. Thereafter, we will describe the different principles of learning. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to define learning. Highlight the principles of learning. Learning. Let us begin by asking ourselves what learning is. Learning is acquiring new or modifying existing knowledge, behavior, skills, values, or preferences, and may involve synthesizing different types of information. The word learning is significant. It suggests that people are driving their own development for themselves through relevant experience, beyond work-related skills and knowledge and processes. Learning extends the idea of personal development and thereby organizational development to beliefs, values, wisdom, compassion, emotional maturity, ethics, integrity, and most important of all, to helping others to identify, aspire to, and to achieve and fulfill their own unique individual personal potential. Learning describes a person growing, whereas training merely describes and commonly represents transfer of knowledge or skill for organizational gain, which has generally got bugger all to do with the trainee. Conditions for learning. The conditions of learning during an industrial training, especially at the managerial level, are quite different from those of formal school environment. The trainee under an industrial training wants to acquire more knowledge about his job, learn more skills to be able to do the job well, and modify his attitude towards the job, people, and situations. He should not be seen as a student under instructions in order not to hurt his ego. He should participate in the learning process. Therefore, before such training can benefit from any training, according to Onosanya 2005, the following conditions should be present. 1. Motivation. He must be motivated to learn by seeing the training as necessary for the improvement of his own performance and career development as for any other purpose. Once he is convinced that his own achievement, promotion, and consequently status in the society depends on his performance, he would sacrifice as much as possible to learn. 2. Relevance. The trainee must be relevant to his job for better results. The trainee would therefore want to see further means of improving his performance and consequently be interested to learn more. 3. Change. The trainee should be able to decide that his previous ways or methods of doing the job are not good enough and judge that the new skills will help him to improve. The trainee should be able to develop and recondition his attitude to the work, people, and situations. 4. Variety. There must be variation in the learning process to prevent boredom. 5. Practicality. The instructor should be practical and as near real-life situation as possible. The trainee should also be given sufficient time to practice what he has learned in order to generate self-confidence. 6. Actual participation. The trainee must participate actively in the learning process. He should partake in the goal setting and assessment of the results. 7. Application. The trainee should be able to apply the skills and knowledge in his employment. Conditions should be given that will ensure possibility of application, otherwise the training would be useless and the initiative and the interest of the trainee in learning will be killed. 8. Guide rather than lead. The instructor should realize that trainees are not schoolboys. After drawing on their past experience, he should guide them through the new knowledge and skills being put across to them. This condition are just not there for the fun of it. There are some set of principles that guide learning. These principles are the basis of our next decision. Principles of learning. Paramount to taking the decisions as to what training methods to use or where the training should take place and who should conduct the training is a perfect understanding on the part of the organizers of some numerous and important principles of learning which help in facilitating learning in no small measure through effective transfer and retention of what has been learned. Learning principles are the following. 1. Learning requires purposeful activity. 2. Learning is a process of the whole individual. 3. Learning is problem solving. Challenging problems stimulate learning. 4. Learning is based on past experiences. 5. Learning results from stimulation through the senses. 6. The more vivid and intense the impressions, the greater the chance of remembering. 7. Interest is essential to effective learning. Learning requires motivation. 8. Friendly competition stimulates learning. 9. Recognition and credit provide strong incentives for learning. 10. People learn more when they are held to account and made to feel responsible for learning. 11. Knowing why makes learning more effective. 12. Knowledge of the standards required makes learning more effective. 13. Things should be taught the way they are to be used. 14. Teaching should be logical or orderly. 15. The most effective learning results when initial learning is followed immediately by application. 16. Early successes increase chances for effective learning. 17. Repetition, accompanied by constant effort towards improvement, makes effective development of skill. 18. Feelings of both teacher and student affect learning. 19. Students learn many things in addition to skills and information, attitudes, interests, appreciations, etc. 20. Continuous evaluation is essential to effective learning. Motivating the learner. In designing the training program, the trainer must appreciate the fact that all human beings can learn and there is need to motivate the trainee to learn. Even though it is true that the motivation to learn must come from within the trainee, the trainer can influence the motivation of the trainee by providing an environment that is conducive to learning. The trainer can facilitate motivation to learn by showing the trainees that a particular goal can be accomplished through a development program that the trainee is able to accomplish the goal, and that the accomplishment of the goal will in turn lead to something that is desired by the trainees or avoid something that is not desired. It appears likely that given the basic ability to learn, maximum learning will occur when both intrinsic motivation and extrinsic rewards exist together, and that minimal learning will result when neither is present. Once the trainee is convinced that learning will result in something desirable, motivation is likely to be increased. Trainees need feedback to ensure improvement in learning. If trainees must learn very effectively, they must be told how well they are progressing and what extra effort they need to put in. Otherwise, the trainee may learn the wrong skill or knowledge without knowing that they are in the wrong track. Reorganizing the different level of learning among trainees. In designing the training program, the trainer must appreciate the fact that individual differences in the rate of learning and assimilation exist among the trainees due to past experiences, aptitude, and learning ability. Thus, the methods of teaching must be such that can enhance fast and effective learning for the greater number of the trainees. Using appropriate teaching methods. Appropriate materials like case studies, teaching aids, tool problems, reading assignment, projects should feature as prominently as possible during the course of the training. Other learning motivational principles worthy of note include 1. Learners must secure satisfaction from learning, that is, the process of training and education must provide the trainee extra satisfaction of their desires and expectations. 2. Learning methods should be varied from time to time to prevent the trainees from getting bored. 3. Positive reinforcement is essential for keeping the trainees on their toes and for making them get the best out of the training opportunity. 4. The rate of learning decreases when complex skills are involved. Therefore, training must progress from the simple to the more complex. 5. Trainees tend to be better off when training materials are spread out over a period of time, distributed learning, than when they are presented en masse or choked within a short interval mass learning. This is so because the trainees are better able to assimilate and internalize the materials over a period of time than when compressed within a short time period. 6. Retention of learning and transfer of learning become enhanced if what is learned by the trainees is reinforced on the job, that is, if the job environment provides opportunities to support and practice what has been learned in the training environment. Study section summary. In this study session, we have explained that learning is crucial for achieving training objectives. We also pointed out that without the trainer taking into consideration, some of these conditions and principles would not be achieved. In this study session, the meaning of learning, conditions and principles have been identified and discussed with a view to enhancing training effectiveness. This is the end of study section 4. Thanks for listening.